We'll get to that. But first, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas testified before Congress today about the Biden administration plan to lift Title 42, a Trump-era policy which was used to expel large numbers of migrants at the border. Now, before I tell you why I am skeptical that the White House really wants Title 42 to end it all, let's be clear on what it is, because there are a lot of misconceptions out there. It's actually a COVID-era health policy put on the books by the CDC back at the very beginning of the pandemic in March of 2020. It's since been extended several times, first by the Trump administration, then by the Biden White House. On April 1st, the CDC announced plans to lift the order, which sends migrants back. That plan, though, has met with resistance from members of both parties, and now a federal judge in Louisiana has officially ordered a stay, meaning potentially delaying the White House from lifting Title 42. But that should be good news for everyone. Some estimates project more than double the number of migrants than ever before if this is lifted. Now, if you look at the surface of what Secretary Mayorkas said before Congress today, you might see a White House official denouncing a Trump administration policy and talking about wanting to reverse it immediately. But listen carefully. What I think is actually happening here is the administration going through the motions of denouncing a policy that they actually want to see remain in place, at least for the time being, all the while trying to use Donald Trump, the courts, and even another federal agency as scapegoats. Politico recently quoted an immigration advisor familiar with the White House's thinking, saying the little secret here is they don't think they're actually going to have to end Title 42. They're expecting to lose a lawsuit that's going to force them to keep it in place. On one side, they're facing pressure from their progressive base, which wants to see Trump-era immigration policy off the books completely. On the other side, moderate Democrats in swing states who are up for election in the fall have come out against the plan to lift Title 42. They're fearing the images of the certain influx of migrants, ready-to-made campaign ads for Republicans. And that brings us to today's comments from Secretary Mayorkas before the House Appropriations Committee, which we will parse.
Title 42 is a public health authority that rests in the exclusive jurisdiction of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, an agency within the Department of Health and Human Services. It is based on their expert assessment of the public health needs of the American public, and they decide whether the Title 42 authority remains necessary, remains a public health imperative, based on the public health data that they obtain and their expert decision based on it. Our responsibility in the Department of Homeland Security is to implement the Title 42 authority of the CDC at our border and to implement it effectively and judiciously according to the law. We are mindful that there can be an increase in migratory flows encountered at our southern border should Title 42 come to an end, as the CDC has determined it needs to do by May 23rd.
In other words, hey, don't look at us. It's the CDC. It's the courts. It's all these other people forcing us to keep this policy in place. But you know what? We're going to keep using it while we can. They want to publicly distance themselves from a policy that the Democratic base can't stand, but secretly the administration wants to keep in place. Yes, Title 42 may be outdated, or bad policy. I mean, how do you justify lifting the mask mandate but not this health initiative? But it's all we've got right now. Without it, more than 18,000 migrants a day could be apprehended at the border, according to experts. That's more than twice the all-time high. Title 42 may just be a necessary evil at this moment, but don't expect the administration to admit that. Joining us again is Raul Reyes. He is an immigration attorney. Raul, thanks so much for coming back on the show. Appreciate it. All right, so what did you make of Secretary Mayorkas' comments today?
His comments were about what I expected, that the administration is deferring to the CDC on this particular issue surrounding Title 42. However, when I see these hearings, as you know, whoever is in the hot seat, there is an element of political theater going on. In my view, when we focus on, say, Title 42 or the month-to-month increases in border apprehensions and illegal border crossings, that is missing the forest for the trees. There are larger policy dimensions, and there are two big ones. Number one, our immigration system is outdated and badly in need of reform. And number two, all over the world, we are seeing patterns of forced migration that impact us that are likely to increase in the future, whether that's due to war in Ukraine or whether that's due to this continued instability in Central America. So rather than debating these parts of the immigration puzzle, what frustrates me when I see these hearings, and this goes for people on both sides, is the people who can change immigration law are members of Congress. They are focusing on smaller policies and month-to-month numbers when they are the ones who control what the law is, and they, on both sides, refuse to take responsibility because it's so politically contentious.
Oh, yeah, it's a no-win for politically to some degree. But let me ask you about the legal argument on Title 42. This Louisiana judge now saying, I'm going to stay it, I'm going to hold it off. What is the reasoning behind why this judge is saying that the Biden administration can't just go ahead and lift it?
The judge's reasoning was that the Biden administration did not allow for proper comment and that there was a danger of the states being harmed with Title 42 being lifted in May. But again, there are much bigger issues.
Right.
Title 42, it's been around, I think, since the 40s. It's only been since the 40s.
Right, but it's only been used
selectively, at times used. But the problem with that judge's argument is that Title 42 contravenes U.S. asylum law. It contravenes our immigration treaties, our membership.
So you think that
to the UN High Commission on Refugees.
So you think that decision is not going to hold long term, but all the administration wants is a temporary reprieve.
They want something because
they can point the finger at somebody else. They want to be able to say, "Oh, look, it's the courts."
Right. And not only that, but they are clearly not, in my view, not ready to lift. If they were truly against Title 42, why didn't they try and lift it on day one, as they did with Remain in Mexico?
Or why don't they just say we're not going to use it anymore?
If effective immediately.
Right, effective immediately. We're not going to use it anymore. The reason they're not saying that because they don't want to stop using it.
It is sort of like a release valve for this immigration problem.
Of course it is.
But a thing that gets lost in this debate is that Congress has set limits. For example, the president has some discretion on refugees. Congress sets limits on visas, on different types of ways that people can enter this country through legal immigration. Over 200 years, Congress has never set a limit on the number of asylum seekers that we can accept.
Yeah.
So if they wanted to, now's their time. They change asylum law rather than continue to focus on month-to-month or year-to-year crises. This is a problem that's only going to be solved long-term by Congress working together.
Oh,
don't laugh.
That's great. Of course, that'll happen tomorrow. Congress needs to work together on this.
It is their responsibility, and only they can fix it.
Okay. All right. Let me play.
I knew you were going to laugh at me.
Let me play another piece of sound from Secretary Mayorkas today, being asked some questions about what border agents think about the end of Title 42.
So have you talked to Border Patrol agents on the ground at our southern border? What are they telling you about the end of Title 42 and the anticipation of that policy changing?
Some of them have certainly requested that Title 42 remain, and I have explained to them, as I have shared with this committee, that the law provides that is a public health authority, not an immigration policy, and the CDC controls the exercise of that authority according to its assessment of the public health need.
But they're still using it. I mean, that's the point, right? I mean, he could say, we will stop using it.
He could have said that day one or a few weeks ago when they announced that it would be ending.
Right.
They could have ended it that day because the fact is 2 years in, 2.7 million expulsions, it is clearly not working.
Right.
There is no decrease
to me, the hypocrisy,
in lawful arrivals.
Right, but to me, it's the hypocrisy that I want to focus on because the administration clearly recognizes what I'm saying. I'm saying let's be honest about this. Let's be honest that there's no good solutions right now. And the best of the bad solutions is you got to leave the ability for the administration, for DHS, for whoever it is to be able to expel migrants en masse. It's ugly. It's unfortunate. It's also the reality of where we are, because without it, our border is going to be a complete and total disaster in the very near future, and I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
People don't disagree that whether you're talking with progressives or immigration advocates or conservatives, there will be a tremendous influx, in part due to the backlog caused by Title 42.
Right.
In my view, I'm not a fan of it. I don't want to see a chaotic situation at the border, but I don't think, just on the legal grounds, I don't think on the moral grounds, it's not right to be turning people away when we have given them the legal right to claim asylum, and that requires physical presence in the United States.
Right, but you want big picture solutions, and the reality is we don't have those right now.
So
what I'm saying is the less
there are short-term solutions, such as more resources. Well, actually, this is one thing he's asking for. He's asking for more resources for processing, more resources for CBP agents, more resources.
But that's
for
still not.
finding sponsors.
Yeah, that's fine. That's all good.
Something that can go into place in the next few weeks.
But that's not going to solve 18,000 people coming across every day, no matter what the increase in the resources.
Right. But I think that's better than just delaying it, because when you delay it,
that
18,000 could be 24,000 in 2 years.
Exactly. All right, Raul, good conversation. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.